Liverpool take first step towards their €60 million new Mo Salah. Have Liverpool found their new Mo Salah? The first step towards a transfer is complete. Mo Salah is leaving Liverpool and the Reds need to find a way to replace him. That won't be easy given we're talking about one of the absolute greatest to ever play for the club. Replacing him like for like is essentially impossible and we don't expect Liverpool to try that. Instead, they'll almost certainly move for a right-sided forward who can offer a different dimension in attack. That means some pace, some trickery and a bit of the unknown. And they might have found that player too. Reports indicate that Liverpool are looking at Juventus star Francisco Conceição. Tuttosport is one of the latest to make that claim, though Football Transfers also understands it to be true. Importantly, the Tuttosport report claims Liverpool have done initial work on Conceição and it's enough to spark Juventus into the first step towards a transfer, setting a price. They'd want around €65 million in order to sell the player, so time will tell if the Reds view that as value for money or not. Francisco Conceição, situation summary transfer links and response. The 23-year-old Juventus winger has been linked with a £52 million move to Anfield. Currently in Cancun, Mexico for Portugal's friendlies against Mexico and the USA. Conceição addressed the rumours directly. He stated he is happy at Juventus, which he considers a big club, and is currently focused only on his national team duties and the final stretch of the Serie A season. Club performance and status. After a successful loan, Juventus made Conceição's move from Porto permanent in July 2025 for approximately €30.4 million, signing him until June 2030. He has become a regular under Luciano Spalletti, recording 4 goals and 3 assists in 34 appearances across all competitions this season. Known for his elite dribbling, he ranks as one of the most effective inverted right wingers in Italy. International role Conceição is a staple in Roberto Martinez's Portugal squad. He is expected to play a significant role in the upcoming friendlies as he competes for a guaranteed starting spot in the 2026 World Cup. Jurgen Klopp makes ridiculous claim about his famous Liverpool side. The ex-Liverpool manager was back on Merseyside and spoke to the media ahead of this weekend's Legends game, where he will take on another of his former sides, Dortmund. Jurgen Klopp feels the ridiculously high standards of his great Liverpool side were taken for granted during his time at the club. The Reds won the Premier League title and the Champions League in back-to-back seasons between 2018 and 2020, while his teams managed 90-plus point seasons 3 times in 4 years. Klopp also led Liverpool twice to Carabao Cup glory and an FA Cup triumph in 2022, while there were 2 runs to Champions League finals. Those lofty standards are particularly prevalent at the moment, given the side's struggles under Klopp's successor. The German was back in Merseyside on Friday ahead of this weekend's Charity Legends game, where he will manage a Liverpool team against Dortmund at Anfield. Speaking at a media event on Friday, Klopp was asked about Mohamed Salah's imminent Liverpool exit and whether this week's news has made him reflect on the club's glory years. Now it's time, not for Liverpudlians obviously, because there is still a lot to go for, but for me it's a bit different and I can already reflect, Klopp said on Salah's departure. And what a time that was, and what a player he is. My God, the goals he scored and the games we had. Champions League away games in Porto, for example, what happened there? We kind of took it for granted, but this team was ridiculous. You go to Porto now and it's not that they are better or worse, they were always good. But we went there and did exactly that. In their prime, this team was incredible in each and every part. That's the thing in these moments. Time stops for a second, added Klopp. And that means you watch the movie again. My big target was always that when I am old and grey, I'm grey but maybe not that old, I can look back and smile, and that is definitely the case. Klopp has spoken at length on Salah's decision to leave Liverpool and the impact the Reds' No.11 has made in the last 9 years. The ex-Reds boss also clarified that, contrary to some reports, he and Salah are on excellent terms. The pair memorably clashed on the sidelines at the London Stadium in the final months of his Anfield reign, but Klopp said they immediately moved on from that minor skirmish. We both know that we had these arguments, not big arguments like the one at West Ham. Both us, 5 seconds later, would have thought, no, we don't do that in public, come on, rewind. Next morning it was already over, but it happens in public. We never lost respect for each other, and that is what I really like. He didn't like me for a second when I took him off after 87 minutes and all these kind of things, and you think, why? The time with him and Sadio Mane together, they were a challenge, of course they were. Special players are a challenge. Tell me one who is not. The real difference makers. The one who wasn't, by the way, was Bobby Firmino. On Salah, he added, the Mo movie is a beautiful movie, and to make it interesting, you have to have a few edges in. It's a beautiful movie with a happy end. Liverpool could save $17 million on Jarell Quansah in a year thanks to clever transfer clause. Liverpool could look to bring back one of their former players in Jarell Quansah who had looked to be a legitimate long-term option before the club received a sizable offer to sell him. A clause in Jarell Quansah's contract with Bayer Leverkusen allows the central defender to return to Liverpool cheaper than initial reports had suggested. Liverpool sold Quansah to the German side for around $40 million this past off-season, with the Reds able to trigger a buyback in 2027 for $92 million. However, Sports Bild has reported that should they wait until next summer, they can actually get him back for around $74 million. It's currently believed to be unlikely that the Reds would be interested in paying that price, however, one that is a premium for the 23-year-old. Quansah had been the 4th choice centre-back under Arne Slot during the 2024-25 season, and despite his impressive season in Germany, it feels unrealistic that Liverpool would pay the price for him. Should he take another leap in the 2026-27 season, though, it's an option to them, one they may consider in the summer that will see Virgil van Dijk likely leave the club. Van Dijk's contract will expire in 2027, with Ibrahima Konate also looking likely to leave on a free this summer when his deal is up. Liverpool has already signed Jeremy Jacquet to go alongside Giovanni Leone at central defence, but could do with another player with Joe Gomez at the position. The Reds have been linked with Kwanzaa consistently over the last few weeks, with the 23-year-old making Thomas Tuchel's provisional World Cup friendly squad, while Trent Alexander-Arnold missed out. Kwanzaa has made 28 appearances and scored 4 goals for Leverkusen this season in a solid first year in Germany. In the same division, Borussia Dortmund's Nico Schlotterbeck is also being linked with a move to the Reds, a left-sided central defender seen as an ideal replacement for Van Dijk. Liverpool looks set to spend hundreds of millions once again this summer in what appears to be a transitional period for the club, with Mohamed Salah set to leave and Van Dijk coming to the end of his peak years. Salah is the club's biggest earner, with his money coming off the books and allowing the team to look to bring in some big targets to replace him. Liverpool international break news as Florian Wirtz stars for Germany and Virgil van Dijk scores. 5 Liverpool players featured in Friday's international games, with Florian Wirtz the best performer in a remarkable win over Switzerland as the final preparations begin ahead of the World Cup. After Thursday's high-stakes international fixtures, Friday's matches were played at a considerably slower pace. With no World Cup places to be decided just yet, it was the turn of the international friendlies across the globe, with 5 Liverpool players in action for Germany, the Netherlands and St. Kitts and Nevis. Here's how they fared across Friday's games. Florian Wirtz, Liverpool's no. 7 endured a difficult run of performances before the international break, but put in an outstanding showing for Germany as he produced a brace of goals and assists in the 4-3 win over Switzerland. Julian Nagelsmann's side twice came from behind to win in Basel, with WF Florian Wirtz crossing for Jonathan Tatanet before his sublime through ball picked out Serge Gnabry. The 22-year-old curled in a sumptuous goal from the edge of the box and then finished smartly to provide a 4th goal, a remarkable night for the ex-Bayern Leverkusen man as Germany won 4-3. Jeremy Frimpong, Virgil van Dijk, Ryan Gravenberch and Cody Gakpo, 3 of the Liverpool quartet, featured in the Netherlands' victory over Norway, with captain Virgil van Dijk on target in the 2-1 win over Norway. The defender nodded in from a corner to level proceedings after Andreas Schelderup had opened the scoring. Manchester City midfielder Tijani Reinders grabbed the decisive goal at the start of the second half, with Cody Gakpo and Ryan Gravenberch also featuring for 82 minutes. Jeremy Frimpong was an unused substitute. Kyle Kelly, the young midfielder, has played a starring role in Liverpool's under-21s over recent months and has been rewarded with a first international call-up of the season. Kelly played the full 90 minutes in St. Kitts and Nevis's friendly loss to Indonesia. Elsewhere, 2 former Liverpool men renewed acquaintances when Jordan Henderson and Darwin Núñez met at Wembley. In a game of few chances, the visitors earned a 1-1 draw courtesy of a late penalty conceded by Ben White, who netted the Three Lions' only goal of the game in the 81st minute when he tapped in at the back post. Real Madrid star Federico Valverde converted from the spot 13 minutes later to ensure Marcelo Bielsa's side earned a 1-1 draw. Gary Neville thinks Mohamed Salah has already decided next club after Liverpool announcement. Gary Neville believes Mohamed Salah already has his next career move lined up after announcing he would be leaving Liverpool at the end of the 2025-26 season. Gary Neville believes Mohamed Salah already knows where he will be playing next season after announcing he will leave Liverpool at the end of the 2025-26 campaign. In an announcement that left club supporters stunned, Salah confirmed on social media that he will bring his time at Anfield to a close at the end of the current season, just under a year after he signed a contract extension. Having joined Liverpool from Roma in 2017, the Egyptian will leave Anfield a Liverpool legend, having won the Champions League and 2 Premier League titles, among other honours. Hello everyone, unfortunately the day has come, Salah said in his message on social media. This is the first part of my farewell. I will be leaving Liverpool at the end of the season. I wanted to start by saying I never imagined how deeply this club, this city, these people would become part of my life. Liverpool is not just a football club, it is a passion, a history, a spirit that I can't explain in words to anyone not part of this club. We celebrated victory, we won the most important trophies, and we fought together through the hardest time in our lives. It is not clear, however, where the 33-year-old will end up when he leaves Liverpool following his 9-year spell. In choosing to leave Merseyside, Salah is leaving money on the table by tearing up his contract extension when he and Liverpool part ways. A host of Saudi Pro League sides will almost certainly court the Egyptian forward, with Liverpool actually rejecting a massive offer worth over $200 million from Al Ittihad for Salah back in 2023. Then there's MLS. Should Salah move to the US, he would likely earn much less than he would in the Middle East. However, Neville believes Salah already has his next move lined up due to the fact that he ripped up his contract to leave Liverpool by mutual consent. Speaking on the overlap, Neville and former Liverpool defender Carragher discussed where they believe Salah will end up. With how driven Mohamed Salah is, I don't see the Saudi thing happening just yet, said Carragher, adding, I could see him in Italy with one of the big clubs playing a slower-paced game at maybe an Inter Milan. Neville then replied, I don't see that, to which Carragher said, I just think your career is over when you go there. I think that he still thinks he is one of the best players. he will still think he has something to give. And that response led Neville to say he is obviously confident in himself, but he has probably got something sorted already, you would imagine. He wouldn't rip up that contract if he didn't. I don't see him in Italy. He has already played there. Harry Wilson has an ideal landing spot back on Merseyside, just not with Liverpool. Harry Wilson was excellent in Wales' agonising playoff defeat in Cardiff and will now have to start thinking about where he is going to play his club football next season. As near misses go, they do not come any more eye-catching than Harry Wilson's effort against Bosnia and Herzegovina. 18 yards out, in the corner of the penalty area, a shot looks unlikely, but Wilson sets it up for a left-footed strike, which in golfing parlance has a yard of draw on it. The dip and bend is impressively significant, but a fraction too late to duck inside the post. It was the type of attempt that Mohamed Salah has patented, which is probably why some Liverpool fans are floating the idea of re-signing Wilson when, as seems inevitable, he becomes a free agent at the end of the season. It would not be the worst idea. Wilson had mixed fortunes for Wales in that playoff semi-final in Cardiff. The shot against the upright was the highlight of a cagey first half, and he then missed a great chance in extra time, although the headed block from Tarek Maharamovic was something special. Wilson looked distraught but regained his composure to convert Wales' first penalty of the shootout. He had bottle and he had technique. Now that he won't be going to the World Cup, Wilson can turn his full attention to a decision on his future. The 29-year-old could stay at Fulham, but that is looking increasingly unlikely, especially as the future of Marco Silva, his highly supportive manager, is still uncertain. But Wilson has a dilemma. He is most definitely in his prime, demonstrated by his 11 goals and 7 assists in 34 appearances for Fulham this season. Watching him at close quarters in Cardiff, he is clearly strengthened, undaunted by a very physical test against uncompromising opposition. He even held his own in aerial challenges. Quite simply, Wilson has matured into an excellent all-round player. Sometimes it just clicks in a player, his international manager Craig Bellamy said, and it has clicked for Wilson, which is why this next stage of his career gives him that dilemma. If Liverpool were interested, it would be tempting, but Wilson had 8 years as a professional at his boyhood club and never saw a single minute of Premier League action for Liverpool. That must leave a mark. Salah is leaving, but there will be plenty of options to fill his place game by game, which is why it would be perfectly understandable if Wilson decided Everton would be an ideal destination. There would be more of a starting guarantee, and his profile would appeal to David Moyes. Everton could yet secure European football for next season, Champions League football even. And there is a feeling on Merseyside that a brave new blue era is beginning in their new home. Everton's interest was established late in the January transfer window and will surely be stepped up if any late Fulham attempts to keep Wilson are rejected. There will be plenty of suitors and Aston Villa will be amongst them. But if he does indeed decide to leave Fulham, where it has to be said he has seemed very happy with life, then a return to Merseyside would seem ideal. This time, though, to a different half. Andy Robertson could be denied dream transfer after Liverpool exit due to heartless model. Andy Robertson is out of contract at Liverpool at the end of the season, and no decision has yet been taken on his future. Andy Robertson might have to think again if he has any designs on joining boyhood club Celtic this summer, according to former Scotland international Pat Nevin. No decision has been made on Robertson's Liverpool future as yet, but the Scotland captain will be out of contract at the end of the campaign. Having lost his place as first-choice left-back to Milos Kerkez this season, the Reds' vice-captain's future has been the subject of much debate. Robertson was targeted by Tottenham Hotspur in a surprise move in January, only for the Reds to pull the plug on any discussions. The two-time Premier League and Champions League winner was also eyed by Atletico Madrid last summer, but a return home to Glasgow has also often been mooted for the 32-year-old, who was released by Celtic when he was 15. Former Arsenal defender Kieran Tierney returned to Celtic after 6 years away last year, and possibility of the pair linking up on the left flank as they do for their country has been mooted. Ex-Everton and Tranmere winger Nevin, however, thinks a move may not be possible. It is interesting because without all the technical stuff about styles, etc., Tierney and Robertson, when they play for Scotland in a back three, one of them, usually Tierney, is the left centre-back. He played there for Arsenal quite a few times and was very good at that, Nevin told Anfield'S.com. With Scotland are amazing down the left-hand side because they work well as a pair. So can you play with both of them in the same team? Yes, you can. Robertson can play as a wing-back and Tierney can play the centre-back role, so can Robbo. The only problem is how do you fit that into a 4-2-3-1, which is what most teams are playing. That's harder. If Martin O'Neill stays at Celtic, which I don't know if he will, he always used to use a back three when he was first there and it was incredibly successful. It'll come down to the cost because I'm afraid Celtic have a lot of other jobs to do other than left full-back. They've got creative jobs to do. They'll get Jota, their Portuguese winger, who suffered an ACL injury last year, back next season, which will make a big difference. So it's a nice idea and it would fit well, but it is also A, costly, and B, if you're going to be utterly heartless about it, there ain't no sell-on value. And that's not Celtic's model most of the time. Opinion: Mo Salah's exit could pave the way for former star to return to the club. Mohamed Salah, the right exit at the right time. There are very few players in modern football who have managed to define an era at a club quite like Mohamed Salah has at Liverpool. Goals, records, consistency, and above all availability have made him not just a great, but one of the defining figures in the club's modern history. So when news breaks that Salah is expected to leave at the end of the season, it naturally carries weight. Not just emotionally, but strategically. At 33, turning 34 next season, this is not a player in decline, but it is a player approaching the final phase of his elite-level career. The timing, therefore, feels deliberate. Liverpool are not losing Salah, they are choosing the moment to part ways. Financially, the situation is complex. A move to the Saudi Pro League would have guaranteed a substantial transfer fee and removed his significant wage, reportedly close to £500, 000 per week, after bonuses from the books with minimal resistance. Instead, Salah appears intent on remaining in Europe, whether in Spain, Italy, Germany or France. That decision changes everything. Liverpool are now unlikely to command a fee north of £50 million, particularly given the player's age and contract situation. Any move will likely involve negotiation, compromise and perhaps even Liverpool facilitating a deal to honour Salah's preferences. And that, in many ways, is fitting. This is not just another outgoing transfer. This is the departure of a legend, one whose legacy deserves to be preserved, not strained by contractual standoffs or financial brinkmanship. Sometimes the right exit is not about maximising value, it's about recognising timing. And for Liverpool, this feels like the moment. Planning for the next era, while Salah's departure will mark the end of one chapter, it also signals the beginning of another, one that may already be quietly taking shape behind the scenes. All indications suggest that Xabi Alonso is being positioned as the next permanent head coach at Anfield. Whether formally agreed or simply aligned in principle, the timing of Salah's exit feels far from coincidental, because this is not just about replacing a player, it's about redefining the team. Alonso, should he arrive, represents a shift in ideology, a coach who demands structure, tactical clarity and collective balance. In that context, inheriting a 34-year-old Salah on elite wages may not align with the vision of building a new, dynamic side. Instead, removing that variable now allows for something cleaner, a reset, an opportunity to reshape the forward line in a way that reflects the next phase of Liverpool's evolution. There is also a practical element to consider. Salah has been Liverpool's focal point for years, tactically, creatively and emotionally. Moving away from that dependency will not be easy, but it is necessary. Teams that fail to evolve often decline rapidly once their central figure fades. Liverpool, it seems, are attempting to get ahead of that curve. And there is a certain ruthlessness in that thinking, one that has defined the club's most successful periods in recent history. Difficult decisions made early rather than too late. For Salah, the next step offers one final European challenge. A chance to prove once again that his level remains among the elite. For Liverpool, it offers freedom, tactically, financially and structurally. This is not a forced exit, nor is it a fall from grace. It is a calculated transition. And while replacing a player of Salah's magnitude is almost impossible in a like-for-like sense, the real objective is not replacement, it is reinvention. Liverpool are preparing for life after their king, and they are choosing to do it on agreed terms,